Hello everyone, and welcome to another Pyro gaming video. A little while ago, I made a video showing my favorite loadouts and class builds for my Titan. You guys enjoyed that, so now I'm going to do the Warlock, and I will be doing the Hunter at some point in the near future. So for the Warlock, it's a really fun class and a very effective class, and a very useful class if used properly. There's a couple of different builds that you can use with the Warlock that really just make you unstoppable. And I mean, it's great for things like the Nightfall, the Raid, more of your challenging activities. So getting started, we're going to look at the Voidwalker subclass, which is my preferred subclass for the Warlock. As far as grenades go, I prefer scatter grenades just because, honestly, all three of these are about the same. You might get a little bit more damage out of this one ultimately, but scatter grenades is good for just like a bunch of ads. Like if you have a bunch of Thrall or Dregs chasing after you, just jump up in the air, throw down a scatter grenade. It's going to do the job, and that's why I like to use it. I prefer to use Healing Rift over Empowering Rift, but I will switch to Empowering for things like a Nightfall boss or, maybe the Raid or something like that. But for the most part, I use Healing Rift just because it's good to have. For the jump, I'm not a fan of the Warlock's jump at all, so I like to use Burst Glide just to get that little bit of oomph, when you jump up. And as far as which subclass tree I actually select, I definitely go with the Attunement of Hunger, or as it's more affectionately known as, the Devourer build. Strike an enemy with this melee ability to fully regenerate your health. For a short time afterward, kills restore additional health. Feed the Void. Consume your grenade energy to regenerate your health. Grants the Devour effect. So essentially, you sacrifice a grenade to proc Devour and also completely refill your health. Insatiable. While the Devourer effect is active, killing enemies extends its duration and recharges your grenade. And lastly, for the Nova Bomb itself, we have Vortex. Nova Bomb creates a singularity which continually damages enemies trapped inside. This is the Devour build, and what makes it cool is when Devour is active, every time you kill an enemy, it resets the timer. You have 9 seconds to get a kill every time you proc Devour. Every kill that you get after that 9 seconds or before that 9 seconds runs out resets the clock. So you get a little bit of your health back. It's going to go ahead and push stuff to your grenades, and it's just an all-around really good build. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of exotics that pair really nicely with Devour as well. So looking up here real quick, the reasons that I don't use this is it just doesn't have enough for me. This is the build that is commonly referred to as the Slova Bomb build, because it fires out that huge, massive, like really slow Nova Bomb. And it doesn't do enough for me, man. I feel like Devour build is much more useful in much more situations. So that's why I stick with Devour build on the Voidwalker. For Stormcaller, again, grenades are kind of all the same. Pulse Grenade, there's an argument to be made that it's the best one, but I just like Storm Grenade. I do the Healing Rift on it as well. I do Balance Glide on this one instead of Burst because you get a little bit more oomph and you get to maneuver a little bit better. Down here, I stick with Attunement of the Elements so that I can have Rising Storm, Landfall, which is kind of like a mini Striker Slam. Electrostatic Surge, your Rift charges faster when allies are near. This is actually really useful. And Arc Soul, even though they kind of annoy me when I have that little floaty thing on my screen that looks like one of those little squiggly lines in your eyeball that you can never look at. That's what Arc Souls remind me of. This build up here is also relatively good. This one I would say is probably going to be a little bit better in Crucible, as this one would be a little bit better in PvE, but this is also still really good in PvP too. So I just like this one. It's the one that I go with. Now as far as Dawnblade, I'm not even going to talk about it because it's not good. The super burns out way too quick. It doesn't have enough. It just doesn't have enough. Like that's it. You get to throw your sword like maybe 3 or 4 times. Like that's about it. The only thing that makes this even remotely fun for me is Icarus Dash, but I'm not going to use a subclass just so that I can dodge in the air when I could use a subclass that's going to refill my health, give me a ton of grenades, have an awesome super, and do a lot of really fun stuff for me. So there's my subclass builds. That's the ones that I use. Now, in my Titan video, I went through each and every one of my weapons and told you what I use them for. I'm not going to do that in this video because I've already done it, and I keep the same weapons on every character. But I do have a few things that I've added to my repertoire since I made that last video. So the first one is the Better Devil's Hand Cannon. I've been using this quite a bit, and while it is a very, very solid weapon, it just reloads really slow for me. Like, I've gotten so used to using the old-fashioned hand cannon that has drop mag, and it reloads super fast, that now when I switch to this one, like, it feels like it takes a year and a half to reload. But Better Devils, without a doubt, is a very solid hand cannon. And as far as kinetic weapons goes, it's one of the better ones alongside, you know, Nameless Midnight and the old-fashioned, and even Skaithlock, man. Skaithlock is really good. So aside from that, the other additions is the Long Walk Sniper Rifle from Trials of Osiris. I would argue that this is the absolute best sniper in the game, hands down, bar none. Similar archetypes to this would be something like the Show of Force that you can get from the EDZ, or something like, say, the Vagabond, or the Gentleman Vagabond from the Crucible Quartermaster over at Shaxx. It's the same archetype as those, but this one just feels so much better, man. Like, I would argue almost anybody that tried to tell me that this sniper right here is not the best sniper in the game, because I honestly think that it is. And speaking of the best in the game, in my Titan video, I talked about the Blue Shift rocket launcher, which I still absolutely love. It is a fantastic heavy weapon, or power weapon. And as far as rocket launchers go, with that max blast radius, this thing does hella damage. But since I made the Titan video, I have acquired a new weapon that I have absolutely fallen in love with, and it has kind of put in Blue Shift on the shelf. And the weapon that I'm talking about is the Sins of the Past rocket launcher from the Leviathan raid. So looking at this thing's blast radius, you can see that it is pretty much maxed out just like the Blue Shift rocket launcher is, but this one has auto-loading holster. The holstered weapon is automatically reloaded after a short period of time. This is like the Cocoon perk from Destiny 1 on all of the King's Fall weapons. You swap to another weapon, and while this weapon is stored, it automatically reloads. And the other perk that really just sets this thing off is Cluster Bomb. Rockets spawn cluster bombs upon detonation. This thing does so much damage on the initial impact, and then you have the cluster bomb to follow that up. So essentially, it's just like the Blue Shift with cluster bombs. And I mean, that is just a dirty, dirty combination, and I love it. So there you go. Those are my new weapons that I've been using and I've been really enjoying. Now, back to the Devourer build. I said earlier that there are certain exotics that really complement the Devourer build really, really well, and that's what we're going to go over now. The Risk Runner Submachine Gun is fucking amazing combined with the Devourer build. So, looking at this thing's perks, Arc Conductor. When taking arc damage, this weapon becomes more powerful and resists incoming damage, kills extend its time, and in this overcharge rate. And in addition to that, we also have Superconductor. When Arc Conductor is active, shots fired have the chance to become Chain Lightning and return ammo. So, whenever you take arc damage, which, by the way, you can kind of cause that yourself by, you know, throwing like an arc grenade or something like that at your feet, you can proc Arc Conductor. So, yeah, when Arc Conductor is active along with Devourer, you have a weapon that you can just fire unlimited amounts of bullets with. As long as you're getting kills, the Arc Conductor perk and the Devourer perk are both going to be constantly resetting. So you're going to have an unlimited amount of bullets that you never have to reload. You're going to have an unlimited amount of health that is going to come back in chunks every time you get a kill. And in addition to that, you're also dealing more damage, and you are resisting incoming arc damage while Arc Conductor is active. You combine those, and you are essentially a tank. And there is another exotic that when you combine it with this little build as well, it is also very good, and that is the Nezarec Sin Exotic Helmet. So looking at this thing's exotic perk, we have Abyssal Extractors. Abyssal Extractors, void damage kills, increase ability energy recharge rate. Now, when you're using the Devour build, obviously you're using a void subclass. So any damage that you do with your super, your grenades, your melees, it's all void damage, so it's going to proc this. So to put this in perspective, if you guys played Destiny 1 and you ran a Voidwalker Warlock with the Nothing Manacles build and scatter grenades, when you would proc Devour, it would essentially give you another grenade back almost instantly, or within a few seconds at least. And there have been times where I had Nezarec Sin equipped and I Nova Bombed a bunch of enemies while my grenade was completely empty, and it automatically gave me my grenade back. So the way that you want to build this, you can run this with the Risk Runner build, You absolutely can, but what you really want to do is have something that does void damage, because even your void energy weapon kills and your void heavy kills or power weapon kills, they are going to work towards the Nazarick Sin perk of Abyssal Defiant, or Abyssal Extractors, and it's going to give you your grenade, melee, and super back a little bit quicker. It's a very fun build to use. And, you know, like I said, with Devourer, your health is constantly being refilled. If you run the Risk Runner build with that, I mean, you're unstoppable, man. You really and truly are. So that is, without a doubt, my favorite build in this game. The Lunification Boots are ones that I use quite a bit. I'm typically always running either this or the Nazarick Sin. The Lunification Boots, alchemical etchings? Etchings? There we go, etchings. Your rifts gain the additional ability to automatically reload allies' weapons, and it also reloads yours as well. This actually comes in handy, man. Like, I've been in boss fights in the Nightfall where I'm picking up heavy and I can't stop. I got to keep running around. I'm trying to reload my rocket launcher, but I can't stop long enough to do it. So I just throw down a rift, and because I use Healing Rift on my build, it starts refilling my health and reduces incoming damage, and then I can go ahead and, like, my weapon's reloaded, so I can turn around and take a shot. So these are actually really useful. The other exotics that I keep on my Warlock, I do keep Transversive Steps, but I honestly don't use these all that much. I do keep Wings of Sacred Dawn, just because it's fun, but Dawnblade, like I said, is not my favorite subclass, so I don't get a whole lot of use out of this. And then over here for gauntlets, we have Sun Bracers, Helium Spirals, increase the duration of solar grenades, and grant energy on solar melee hits. This is just a poor man's Sun Bracer Destiny 1, but not as good. When there's solar burn in the Nightfall, solar grenades actually do good damage, so having this equipped can come in handy for boss DPS. It's pretty good if you have a bunch of like low-level adds around and everything. You actually get a pretty nice little bonus to your melee damage. So that is pretty much it for my Warlock. I could show you is that I do run the Optimacy set from DestinyOverwatch, and I also have Sovereign Legs, and I thought, yeah, Sovereign Gloves. These are the new Monarchies, but yeah, those are my gear sets. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you with this one thing. Warlock, they come with, typically recovery is the highest thing. You want to try to focus on your resilience and your recovery for the Warlock. Mobility does not mean dick in this game. So mobility actually only affects how high you can jump and how fast you walk. Not your sprint speed, how fast you walk. Like when you're aiming down sights, when you're just walking and not sprinting with your weapon off to the side. That's what mobility affects. It affects absolutely nothing. Movement speed and maximum jump height. That is it. So you really want to focus on all the recovery that you can and all the resilience that you can. And that is how you build the Warlock, and that is going to bring this video to an end. I will have the Hunter video up as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, click like. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, I fucking love you. Thank you for watching, and take care, guys.